So Morgan over at Turning Point USA went to UCLA to ask students if America is racist and if white privilege really exists. Now, you guys, there's a handful of scenes in this video that I absolutely want to unpack, especially with my recent visit to UCLA. But before we jump into this video, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you all for being here. If you could please really quickly smash that like button for the algorithm, I would greatly appreciate it, as it does help the videos reach more and more people. So I really appreciate you all liking the video. So the video is called, this video is called, Does White Privilege in America Really Exist? Asking UCLA students. Let's go ahead and jump on in.
Is America racist?
I don't know what to say. I don't want to say the whole country is racist, but obviously there's going to be racists.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just really not much we can do. They're just individuals, so yeah.
I think systems are built upon racist ideology.
Categorically, I don't think there are racist laws.
General people, I think a lot of times aren't, but I think a lot of the systems in place lean towards that.
Systematically, yes. Culturally, in some places, still yes. I definitely think people are a lot more educated than they used to be, but the system, I believe, is inherently racist.
So a lot of buzzwords being used there, right, you guys? Systematic racism. Now, the funniest thing about all this is they're hearing it and thinking discriminated against, right, people of color. But systematic racism does actually exist today in the United States. It's actually incredibly obvious and it's celebrated today. It's just against white people and Asian people as well. One of the most interesting things about this is people that have this sort of ideology, and I don't necessarily want to speak for these people, but I can speak for the ideology because it's wildly consistent, is the main thing that they have a problem with is not systemic racism in the United States today. They actually have a major problem and they despise meritocracy. And I'll make these points pretty quick. I'll try just so we can move on with the video. They despise meritocracy. That's what they really despise. They actually have no problem with systemic racism. Chicago Defender, more than 17 million invested in black and brown businesses to feed new arrivals. That's just propaganda way of saying illegal immigrants. White people were excluded. Affirmative action being another example when it comes to not just in education, there was that whole issue with Harvard recently, but also diversity quotas in places of business, discriminating against white people, discriminating against Asians. These people largely support this stuff. In fact, they're probably the largest group in America that actually does want to fight tooth and nail for systemic discrimination. Anyways, let's move on.
Are you a Charlie Kirk, Manchus?
Yes.
Have a good day.
Systemically, culturally, socially, it's very much racist and based upon racist ideals.
Whoa, the whole country itself?
Is it racist?
It's kind of like a controversial question. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, it is for college students, that's a pretty scary question. Whoa, hey, I wasn't expecting that. But you'll hear that, a bunch of that. And I need to go do a video on this because I've done a video on systemic racism. I've done a video on white privilege. And I think that's one thing that was largely missed in these videos, is talking about what the actual systemic racism is in America today, 2024, because it's obvious and it's celebrated. And for some reason, people aren't allowed to talk about it. It's just super weird. But I do see a lot of you guys bringing that stuff up in the comment section in those videos under my white privilege videos. So I'll definitely go and do a street video actually addressing that here soon, because I think it's a really important conversation. Morgan's running into some normal college students. It's good to see. At least some, at least some that seem fairly normal. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, everyone, let's take a few moments to talk about today's sponsor. Cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habit. I'm not talking about some weird gimmicky solution that does absolutely nothing. I'm talking about today's sponsor, and they look at the problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong, so instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-nominated device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air, and instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. So you get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good, and it's a habit you're free to enjoy that makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do while breaking your bad habit. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect when I first saw Fume, but I've tried a few flavors, and they're a lot more flavorful than I thought. It feels very fresh. You guys, summer is coming up. I challenge you to break your bad habit before then. Visit tryfume.com and use offer code Klug for 10% off your journey pack today. That's try, F-U-M, offer code Klug for 10% off your journey pack today. I'll put a link down in the description below. Let's get back into this video.
Does white privilege exist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. What would you describe white privilege being? Like today.
How do I describe this? Oh, let me think.
Yeah, I definitely feel like white privilege is a thing.
I think so.
How would you describe white privilege?
I'd say it's effectively the
Just in the way like people treat you. Like I feel like naturally people are more likely to treat you differently if you are white.
I 100% believe in white privilege.
You guys, come on, UCLA. What's funny about this is they're getting a lot of people that I think for that question right there, I think a lot of people just kind of bend a knee and they say, okay, yeah, sure, white privilege exists. They don't really know why, especially that lady trying to give an example, right? They don't have examples. One interesting thing, I was at UCLA with Billboard Chris recently, and the day was actually rather conservative. In fact, something interesting was we were talking about the usual Billboard Chris, children cannot consent to puberty blockers, and a lot of young women were walking by doing the thumbs up. They weren't necessarily talking to us, right? You see, to actually participate in a political conversation on a college campus, being a college student, that does take some level of bravery, let's be honest. But a lot of girls walking by, thumbs up. I agree with you. Don't want to talk, but I agree. So it's interesting that Morgan's experiencing so many people that are just so brainwashed on this day. Perhaps, they're different with this topic. I have no clue. Again, I need to go out and do this video when it comes to addressing who has privilege in the United States. Do white people really? How do they have privilege? Every single major corporation has, especially like S&P 500 companies, have major diversity quotas. There are people getting jobs specifically because of the color of their skin. They're getting those opportunities. You have United pledging, which they probably won't land and actually effectively do because it seems insane, but pledging, United Airlines, saying that by 2030, 50% of their new hires for pilots, I believe it's for pilots, will be women and minorities. Okay, so in order to achieve those numbers, you have to actively discriminate in the hiring process because merit is no longer a part of the conversation right there. I mean, it can be to a certain extent, but you're literally getting rid of people that might be more qualified than somebody that you need just to fulfill a diversity quota. That doesn't seem like white privilege to me. That doesn't seem like any privilege to me.
Based upon the color of your skin, you have advantages over other people who are darker.
For example, like school shootings that were happening, if you look at it, like the majority of the people who are actually like shooting or the shooters are white people. There's a big difference with like people like those school shooters and like George Floyd, who was like killed innocently, and like those people who obviously killed people for it.
I was trying to pay attention right there, you guys. I have absolutely no clue what she was just saying right. Is that why the camera zoomed in? What are you talking about? What do like mass shooters not get killed? Or what's going on there? Also, you probably don't want to bring up mass shooting statistics and or shooting statistics. It's probably not the best plan. That might not go the way you want it to. But she was saying maybe like school shooters. And then what does that have to do with George Floyd? What is going on there?
We got a black president. A third of Congress is black.
Equal opportunity doesn't mean equal outcome. But in America, what freedoms don't people have?
I would say everyone has the same rights, privileges, and protection. So, no, I don't think that's a thing.
Again, people are actually being systemically discriminated against. But when it comes to minorities in the United States today, 2024, no, absolutely not. And he also brought up one other thing. I believe he said black people will make up a third of Congress. I think he might be talking about minorities might make up a third of Congress, but still, yeah, I mean, there's a substantial representation, no doubt about that. All right, last question.
Can you be racist against white people?
I think that if we're talking about somewhere like the US, you don't see a whole lot of it.
I mean, by the definition, you can be racist towards white people, but it's kind of a joke.
It's not gonna actually do anything. Nothing's gonna happen.
You can affect them getting a job. You can affect their career path. You can affect them getting into certain schools.
I think anyone can have certain predispositions against other people, yeah. So I definitely believe there's a lot of racism towards white people.
I've been thinking about this one a lot. I feel like you can't. It's like really complex because there's like obviously prejudice. Like you could be very prejudiced, but then like I don't know. I don't feel comfortable giving an answer because I really don't know.
I'm actually always okay with that response from people, especially students. If somebody says like, I don't feel comfortable giving an answer because I don't actually know. However, she did kind of answer the question, right? She said, yes, but I don't know, so don't question me, basically. You know, can you discriminate based on skin color? Can you be prejudiced based on race? Yes, to everybody across the board. What they try to teach on college campuses is, they started this but maybe about 10 years ago or so, is prejudice plus power. So it has to be prejudice plus people have to be in positions of power, which is just an absolute nonsensical definition. One reason being, if one city has majority Hispanics and people in power are minority groups, then in that city, can only those people be racist? And usually when I ask that question, which I have before in videos, they'll say, no. Interesting point, but no, only white people can be racist. They'll go back down to like, oh, well, the country was founded by, white people. So they, ratified the Constitution. Like they'll just keep going back further and further to make it so only white people can be racist. It's a load of crap. You guys, let me know what you think about this video. How do you think the college students did? How do you think Morgan did? I think it's actually a great video. I think it's a great display of a lot of different viewpoints. And it's really interesting just to talk about that whole lie of systemic racism. The number one thing that a lot of these people completely despise is a meritocratic society. Anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more videos if you're not subscribed already. And hit that bell notification button so you're notified next to my post. I'll catch you all in the next video.